A year ago, I dropped a video about what I wish I knew before buying a 1911, and it struck a nerve. So now, after 12 months of carry and range time, I'm going to answer that big question. Was it worth it? So buckle up. Welcome to LocaCarnivore. Glad you could join us. Like I said, I'm going to update a video that I put out a year ago about what I wish I knew before I bought a 1911. And this happened to be, it's a very significant video for the LocaCarnivore channel because it was our breakout video. This thing went viral. I mean, it grew legs within a day or two and it's just off the chart. Well, in today's video, I'm going to cover a few things about why I made that original video and what my mindset behind it was, what the intent was for that video. Then we're going to roll into looking at a few things that maybe have changed or even not changed, try to clarify some of the points that were in that original video, and also address some of the comments, quite frankly, and there were a lot of comments, believe me. You folks just burned the lines down. And I think it's great just to have such a good conversation about 1911s. I mean, who doesn't want to talk about 1911s all day, right? And then at the end of the video, I'm going to give you my opinion about whether or not 12 months later, after that first video, if I think the 1911 is still worth it. So make sure you stay with us all the way through. And also make sure you give us a big like on the video. Please hit that thumbs up. We want you on the LocaCarnivore team, so please subscribe. And don't forget to hit that notification bell so you won't miss any of our terrific videos going forward. So let's get rolling, okay? So just what was I thinking when I made a video about this great old warhorse, the 1911 pistol? John Browning began the first design work on what would eventually become the 1911 around 1905 or so. So if you do the math, we're 120 years later. That is a substantial amount of time for any gun. And this gun just won't go away. And as I said in that original video, I like the 1911. Don't get me wrong. But as soon as I started bringing out some of the points about the 1911, they're maybe not so good because, after all, it's an old design. Things have moved forward. Technology has marched on, as they say. And a lot of fanboys out there, and there are a ton of 1911 fanboys. You know who I'm talking about. I'm looking right at you. They just can't stand to have anybody say even the slightest thing about 1911 that doesn't sound like it's a hosanna of praise for the thing, even though it's the truth, even though it's the facts about the gun. So that, my intent originally for this video was as sort of a first-time buyer's guide to let people know what they were getting themselves into if they decided to get this particular pistol. And there are quite a few things. I mean, it has its quirks. It's a quirky thing. It's still a very elegant pistol. I love this thing to death. Well, just how valid are some of the criticisms I made in my first video about the 1911? Well, I think they're still valid. The gun hasn't changed one bit. Let's tick off some of the downsides, if you will, of the 1911. First of all, it's heavy. It's 39 ounces. That hasn't changed unless you go with an alloy frame, and we'll get to that in just a minute. It requires a lot of maintenance. It is a maintenance-intensive gun compared to modern designs such as the striker fire guns that are made out of polymer. You just can't ignore a 1911 like you can a polymer gun. It will eventually bite you. Third, it's a bit complicated. It's a more complicated gun than a point-and-shoot striker fire gun. You have to learn to manage several safeties on the gun at the same time. And it's sort of like, patting your head and rubbing your stomach at the same time. Can I do that? Hey, I can. Look at that. Look at that. Hey, I'm not so uncoordinated after all. See, some of you are wrong. It also, fourth thing here, it's fairly low on capacity unless you go with the 2011 kind of thing. It only holds in 45 ACP between 7 and 8 rounds in the magazine, depending on which magazine you get. If you get a 10 millimeter, you can add one more round, and if you get a 9 millimeter, you can add 2 rounds to that. Now, I covered the various calibers in that original video. What are the better calibers for this platform? I'll let you go discover that on your own by watching the video. But suffice to say, those are the big strikes against this gun. And just the fact it's just an old design. And some people just can't get their heads around something that didn't, come into being, spring into being roughly when they were born. Now, there is one opinion that I did express in that original video that I have modified a bit. It's changed. I've softened on this, if you will. And that is the reliability of 1911s. And 1911s, to be honest, they don't enjoy the reputation that a modern striker-fired pistol has for reliability. especially when it comes to hollow points. And I covered this in fairly extensive detail in that first video. Again, go watch it. But just to brush over it real quick, my experience with 1911s, and these were all older Colts that were made in the 1970s, 1980s and stuff, they were really iffy with hollow points. They really were. So fast forward to now, and what is my opinion? Well, my opinion is if you get one that's built well, and I would say the ones that are being made right now are extremely good. If they're all from a top tier manufacturer, if you get a tier 1 manufactured gun, you have a very good probability that your gun will be reliable, as long as you maintain it and keep it lubricated, of course. But the 1911s I've got, the newer ones, they all are very satisfactory at hollow points. In fact, what really set me straight was this mil-spec that I've got, this mil-spec gun, and it's got the original Colt style lockup. I'll show you a quick picture here of what that's all about. And that's got the feed ramp is split between the barrel throat and the frame. So there's two basically different feed ramps versus the more modern approach now is, and you'll find that say on some Springfields, other brands, Kimbers I think, stuff, they'll have the feed ramp integrated into the barrel throat, all of the P35 high power, which was John Browning's follow-on design after the 1911. However, I found always that guns with that original type of lockup and feed system were really problematic with hollow points. However, this mil-spec, it really surprised me. It has so far digested almost every type of ammo I've cared to feed into it. In fact, I did a video about that very subject, and I'll put the link down to that description, where I took the mil-spec out for its second drive. I also had a original introductory, just a brief range review of that, and the link's down there, of course. In fact, just go over to my channel page when you get done with this video, click on that, go into playlists, and you're going to find my 1911 playlist, and you'll see all the videos that we've done so far about the 1911. So I think you'll find those very useful, frankly. So this gun in particular has really changed my mind about modern 1911s, recently produced 1911s. This gun works good. And I don't think it's a one-off, because I've found that other modern 1911s have been just as reliable. They've been very, very good. So, and they might need a little break-in period, but 200 rounds, maybe 100, 150, somewhere in there. But once they're going, and then once they get happy with themselves, and again, properly lubricated, I've had little to no problems with this particular gun or any of the newer 1911s that I've tried. On the subject of changes, let's talk about carrying the 1911 as far as comfort and how you have to set up your holster and how well it conceals and everything. And to be honest with you, over the last 12 months, I've been carrying 1911s a lot more than I had in the past. It just, for some missions, it just becomes the perfect gun. And I'll share that with you in just a minute why that is. First of all, the big thing about carrying the 1911 is you have to deal with the weight. Like I said, it's a very heavy gun, 39 ounces empty, and then you put the ammo in, and it's a chunk of gun. You're basically almost 3 pounds of gun. That's a lot of gun. So you have to deal with the weight. And I found that one of the best carry setups right now is to use a Bellyband. And I cover that extensively in my video, how to carry a full-size gun in the summer. I'll put the link down that. Again, if you go to that 1911 playlist on the channel page, you'll get all these all together, but I will put the link into that. And I cover how to carry that gun. And I have found, frankly, my go-to gun when it's really warm now, and I'm wearing just like a thin shirt or something, is a 1911. Especially with those thin grip panels, you get the thin line grips on those things, and it's just superb. And the nice thing about the Bellyband is it keeps the gun absolutely in the right spot and at the right angle, which is critical for concealing the 1911. You have to have the right angle to the gun, or it will definitely print, even if you just bend over even just a little bit or move one way or the other. Especially if you turn to your offside, it will print. So you've got to have it, and it has to stay at that correct angle. So the Bellyband really meets all those criteria. It doesn't rely on your belt that's around your pants, your carry belt. You don't need a super heavy carry belt either. All the weight gets supported by that Bellyband, and under a thin shirt and pants, even without a belt, it's superb. The gun is just so thin, and that Bellyband distributes the weight so well that you really don't notice you have it on. Now, one thing that I didn't really address in detail in that first video was ammunition cost, and that has a direct bearing on whether the 1911 is a good pistol for you. because if you can't afford the ammo and you can't practice with it, and believe me, the 1911 requires some very intensive range time, you have to stay current with the gun, especially when it comes to manipulating the safety. So you need to go to the range a lot, which means you're going to burn out through a fair amount of ammo, and that means it's going to cost you compared to your average 9mm. But you have to face the fact that 45 ACP and 10mm ammo cost anywhere from about 20 to 30% more, and that's just a rough range, more than 9mm does. So you're going to spend more on ammo. Plus you're going to have to put up with some extra recoil, although in 45, if you use a full-size 1911 and all-steel government model sized gun, in 45 ACP, the recoil is pretty negligible, actually. That big gun just soaks it right up. 10mm, that's a little more exciting. And then if you go to my favorite, the aluminum framed commander type with the 4 1/4 inch barrel, those guns, they are a bit snappy in 45, and you're not going to get a 10mm made in that because the alloy frame simply cannot stand the just the abuse that cartridge dishes out to the frame of the gun. So unfortunately, I would love to have a lightweight 10mm, but I wouldn't want to shoot one, quite frankly. So you're going to have to face the fact you're going to spend more. But it's worth it, in my opinion. If you want to use this gun and you're serious about it and you're serious about mastering it, you'll spend the extra money. Hey, they're not cheap guns to start with, so you might as well just be in for a penny, in for a pound. You bought the tickets to ride the train, right? But I will talk about something I've come to appreciate even more after 12 months of really intensively using the 1911 and getting basically back into it, back where I started from to a certain degree. And that is the triggers. It just never ceases to amaze me how wonderful the triggers are on a 1911. With the exception of my mil-spec, that's got a true GI trigger. It's creepy and long and mushy and nasty, but even so, it's still better than some other, triggers for other, military level triggers out of other guns. If you ever tried to fire a Webley revolver, for instance, double action revolver with like a, I don't know what it is, it's close to 20 pounds on the double action pull or something like that, or any military spec gun that was made there in the early 20th century, the triggers are deplorable on those things. But a 1911 that's been set up correctly, pure magic. And that's what distinguishes it from all my other carry guns. Yeah, I carry striker guns. Yes, I carry revolvers. Love revolvers still. But when I want that crisp, wonderful trigger that helps you stay on target during rapid fire, nothing yet has come to equal a 1911. And I don't care what kind of trigger you drop in your striker gun, it's never going to be the same. So get over it. And that, more than anything, I think is one of the main reasons to get into a 1911, and certainly why I stay with them, quite frankly. We could really use your help on this channel. YouTube has really made it a tough playing field right now for gun and hunting type content, such as what we produce. I really need you to share this video. Please get this thing out there. It's the only way that you can fight the system and keep gun and hunting content on YouTube. So you've got to show them that it's worth it to you and that you're willing to support it. Another way to support us, we've got a Patreon, of course. The link's down in the description. Please go there, show us a little love. And if you want some more great content plus access to our LocaCarnivore store, there's our website, LocaCarnivore.com. Please visit over there. Thank you. Now, another large portion of the comments were people sharing their personal stories and experiences with the 1911. To be honest, I was overwhelmed with the things that you folks decided to share with all of us. Stories about using the gun in combat, stories about your experience with it in law enforcement. There's probably no greater testimonial that can be offered for any gun than people who have actually been there and done that and came away saying that the gun saved their lives. So thank you so much for sharing those stories. Really appreciate it. So who is the 1911 for? The 1911 is for somebody who appreciates elegant weapons. Weapons that were thoughtfully designed and then have been proven over time in the most dire circumstances. And you will not find any other gun out there, any other combat handgun that has the pedigree of the 1911. Yeah, the striker fires, they're getting their own legends burned into the history books as we speak and have been for a long time, but nothing comes close to the experience of the 1911 and what it has done throughout its career, throughout its existence. So if you're somebody that wants that kind of legend behind them, and I do think it is a legend, and there's facts behind that, it's not a myth. The 1911 is a fantastic pistol. So if you're willing to put in the time to master its idiosyncrasies, the various safeties, the maintenance issues, spending more money for ammunition, at the end of the day, you will get a terrific handgun that will not let you down in a dire situation. So it is a good gun from that perspective. Now, who is the 1911 not for? Basically, anybody that just wants some point and shoot appliance that's going to work all the time, no matter what. They can treat it like garbage. They want cheap ammo so they can go bang, 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 which, you know, there's nothing wrong with going bang, 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 bang if it's under good instruction and you know what you're doing and you have goals for your training. You're not just popping caps. Also, if you want a lightweight gun, the 1911 is not for you. If you want a gun with extremely high capacity, the 1911 in its proper form is not the gun for you. So there are people who are not a good match for the 1911. But do I still think that it's worth it? Heck yeah, I do. 1911, it's an awesome gun. If you carry a 1911, I'd love to hear your take, so go drop a comment. And if you did miss that first video, what I wish I knew before I bought a 1911 or got a 1911, I'm going to make it really easy for you. If you just wait just a little bit, the link will show up right about here, and you can go watch it right after you finish watching me. Well, that wraps it up for today's video. I want to thank everybody for having made that first video, the What I Wish I Knew Before I Got a 1911, such a viral success. Thank you so much. Keep pumping it out there though, keep sharing it, and keep watching it. And by all means, watch everything else on my channel. Go to that 1911 playlist. I think you're going to find that exceptionally useful. And I want to thank you for spending your valuable time with us today. And remember, as always, Han shot first. Even George Lucas knows it, if he won't admit it. Hey, thanks for watching.